All right, let's dive right in, folks. We've got that FA Cup magic in the air, and this time it's all about Brighton, squaring off against Chelsea down at the Amex Stadium.
Fourth round action. And yeah, we're going to break it all down for you.
We'll be looking at recent form, head-to-head records, and maybe even try to predict those starting lineups. But we're going deeper than just the basic stuff.
Exactly. This is like your insider's guide to sounding like a proper football expert.
Brighton, they're coming in hungry for a win after a few rough weeks, right? And then you've got Chelsea riding high, climbing up that Premier League table. It's a clash of contrasting narratives.
It really is. I mean, think about Brighton's season so far. You know, those early wins against big teams like Man United and Man City, everyone was talking about
Oh,
them.
yeah, they even beat Tottenham and Newcastle. It was electric. But recently, it's like, things have stalled a bit, haven't they?
Yeah, you could say that. 2 wins from their last 12 matches. That paints a different picture. And then there was that Nottingham Forest match.
Oh, don't remind me. 7-0. I mean, brutal. Like, I felt bad for Brighton fans, you know? It's like when you're on top of the world and then suddenly, bam, you get knocked down. How do you even recover from something like that?
Well, that Forest loss was historically bad, you know. Brighton's worst defeat in 67 years, in fact. And get this, it's their second worst league defeat in their entire 124-year history. Crazy, right?
Makes you wonder how they'll bounce back from that. Their manager, Fabian Hurzeler, he even called this upcoming Chelsea match a test of character, a real test of character. Big pressure.
Resilience is going to be key here, but historically speaking, Brighton hasn't had much luck against Chelsea. 4 straight losses, only 1 win in their last 11 home games against them. Not exactly ideal when you're trying to get back on track, is it?
No, not ideal at all. But that's the beauty of football, isn't it? Anything can happen, especially in the FA Cup.
Oh, absolutely.
And Chelsea, they've been on a roll lately. That comeback win against West Ham, talk about drama.
2-1, yeah. You know, they really have a knack for turning things around, those Chelsea boys. Staying composed under pressure, adapting their tactics. They've got 13 points this season from losing positions. That says a lot about their resilience.
Absolutely. And that West Ham win pushed them right up to 4th place in the Premier League. But yeah, you're right. The FA Cup's got a way of leveling the playing field. It doesn't matter who's at the top or the bottom. Anything can happen.
And let's not forget, Chelsea, they've historically been a force in the FA Cup. 8-time winners they are. And they've made it to the 5th round 26 times in the last 28 seasons. They know how to navigate this tournament, that's for sure.
Wow, that's impressive. So when we look specifically at Brighton versus Chelsea, what's the history there?
Well, Chelsea's won 7 of their last 11 trips to Brighton. Seems like they feel quite at home at the Amex Stadium, which could play a psychological factor in this match.
Interesting. Okay, before we jump to any conclusions, let's talk injuries and potential starting lineups. Brighton has a lot of players on the sidelines, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Steele's out, Julio, Kadioglu, Milner, March, all out. And then there are a few others whose status is still uncertain. It's going to be interesting to see how they put that starting 11 together.
Makes you wonder how they'll approach this match tactically with all those missing pieces.
For sure. One player to keep an eye on is Iron Cashin. He's finally eligible to make his debut after recovering from that hamstring injury. Could be a good partner for Lewis Dunk in central defense.
Right. And then there's that midfield situation after the Forest debacle. What's Hurzeler going to do? Is he going to stick with the formation that, well, backfired so spectacularly? Or will he try something a bit more conservative? Do you think he'll start Gomez and O'Reilly again?
Tough call. It depends on how much risk he's willing to take. Does he focus on solidifying the defense? Or does he go all-out attack, hoping to catch Chelsea off guard?
Okay, and what about their attack? With all these injuries, who's likely to lead the line for Brighton?
Could be Welbeck up front, or maybe they'll shift Pedro into a more central role. Lots of decisions for Hurzeler to make.
All right, let's switch gears to Chelsea's potential lineup. They've got some key players out too, right? Mudryk, Fofana, Kellyman, Lavia, Badiashile.
True, but some good news for Chelsea. Badiashile's close to returning, which is a boost for their defense. And with Jackson still a doubt after that hamstring issue against West Ham, it looks like Christopher Nkunku will be leading the line.
Ah, interesting. And then you've got Cole Palmer, who was on fire against Brighton in their last meeting, scored 4 goals. I bet Brighton will be keeping a close eye on him.
Oh, absolutely. He'll likely continue in that number 10 role, pulling the strings for Chelsea's attack. But keep an eye on players like Nito, Dewsbury Hall, Gusto, and Chalobah, too. They'll be battling for a starting spot and eager to make an impact.
So, thinking about these potential lineups, how do you see this match playing out tactically? Will Brighton stick to their signature high-pressing style even after that Forest disaster? Or will they change things up?
That's the big question, isn't it? Brighton's known for their aggressive attacking football, but those recent defensive struggles might force them to be a bit more cautious, especially against a team like Chelsea. What do you think?
It's hard to say. Part of me thinks they'll stick to their guns, try to outscore Chelsea, but another part of me thinks they might play a bit more strategically, defensively.
It's a tough choice for Brighton. Do they play to their strengths and risk another heavy defeat? Or do they try to contain Chelsea,
Hmm.
hoping to sneak a goal on the counter? It's a classic risk versus reward scenario. And for Chelsea, will they try to exploit Brighton's vulnerability at the back? Or will they respect their attacking threat and play a bit more cautiously themselves?
That's a real chess match, isn't it? And the psychological factor is going to be huge, too. Brighton, they'll be desperate to avenge that loss to Forest and prove they can compete with the top teams.
And Chelsea. They'll be determined to keep their momentum going, add another FA Cup win to their collection. The stakes are high, and the atmosphere at the Amex is going to be electric.
We've just gone deep into tactics and potential lineups, and man, the excitement is building. But before we get to predictions, I want to kind of step back for a second and think about how all this connects to you, the listener.
This isn't just about breaking down a football match. It's about, understanding those bigger ideas. Competition, resilience, that drive to be the best. Those themes, they're everywhere in life, aren't they?
Totally. Think about it. Have you ever faced a major setback? Maybe something that really shook your confidence. How did you react? Did you let it completely derail you? Or did you find a way to come back even stronger?
It's all about finding that inner strength, right?
Mm.
And then what about those times when you're on a roll, hitting all your goals? How do you keep that momentum going? How do you stay hungry?
Those are the same questions Brighton and Chelsea are facing right now. Their journey, the ups and downs, it's kind of like a reflection of the challenges we all face.
Exactly. So when you're watching this match, don't just focus on the goals and the saves. Look deeper. Pay attention to those stories of resilience, determination, that hunger to win. Those are the things that make sports so captivating.
Okay, so ready for the moment you've all been waiting for, prediction time. But before I jump in, what do you think? Who's going to come out on top in this one? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, we love hearing your insights and analysis. Tell us what you think.
All right, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Chelsea wins, but it'll be close, a real nail-biter. I'm thinking 2-1 to the Blues. They've got that experience, that ability to just grind out results. It'll be tight, but I think they'll edge it out.
Interesting prediction. I can see the logic there for sure. Chelsea's ability to snatch wins, even when they're not at their best, is pretty remarkable. But I'm going a different direction. I'm leaning towards a draw, maybe 1-1. I think both teams will play it safe.
A draw. Hadn't thought of that. But you're right. Brighton's defensive issues might force them to play a bit more conservatively.
Yeah, and a draw would mean a replay, which would just ramp up the drama even more.
A replay would definitely add another layer of excitement. Can you imagine the pressure for that second match, knowing that one mistake could end your FA Cup run? Do you think Brighton, with all their injuries and their recent dip in form, do you think they have the depth to handle another intense match?
It's a good question. A replay, it could be a blessing or a curse for them. On one hand, it gives them another chance to regroup, maybe even pull off an upset against Chelsea, but it also puts more strain on their squad, which is already pretty thin.
This match is massive for Brighton. A win against a team like Chelsea, that could be the spark they need to turn their season around, get that confidence back. It could be a real turning point.
For sure. And for Chelsea, it's a chance to really solidify their position as contenders on multiple fronts. They've already shown their strength in the Premier League, and a good run in the FA Cup would just boost their credentials even more.
It's amazing how much weight a single football match can carry, isn't it? It's not just about those 90 minutes on the pitch. It's about momentum, about building confidence, about that desire for trophies.
And for fans like us, it's a chance to be a part of it all, to witness the drama, the passion, the unpredictability that makes football so special.
It's a shared experience, whether you're a die-hard Brighton fan, a Chelsea supporter through and through, or just someone who loves a good game of football. This FA Cup clash is going to be one to remember. But let's shift gears for a minute. We've talked a lot about tactics and predictions, but what about the human element of this match?
Oh, that's a great point. We've been focusing on formations and lineups, But at the end of the day, it's individuals who are stepping onto that pitch, each one with their own story, their own dreams, their own burdens.
Exactly. Imagine those emotions. Hearing the roar of the crowd, knowing that millions are watching. What must it be like for Brighton's goalkeeper, for example, knowing that one mistake could lead to another crushing defeat?
And then on the other side, think about a young Chelsea player making his FA Cup debut. The excitement, the nerves, that chance to make a name for himself on such a big stage.
It's like stories within the story, those human dramas. They add so much depth and meaning to the spectacle of sports. It's those moments of individual brilliance and those heartbreaking errors that stick with us long after the final whistle.
They remind us that beneath all the tactics and strategies, there are real people with real emotions, giving it their all for their team, their fans, and ultimately for themselves.
It's amazing, isn't it, how a single match can be so full of emotion for the players, for the fans, everyone. You can really feel those individual stories playing out on the pitch.
And it's not just individual stories either. It's that collective experience too. The joy of a last-minute winner, the heartbreak of a tough loss, those shared moments, that's what brings fans together.
And speaking of fans, we want to hear from you. What are your predictions for this one? Are you with me on that 2-1 Chelsea win, or do you think it'll be a draw like our experts predicting?
Yeah, let us know in the comments. We always love seeing your thoughts and analysis.
And while you're at it, tell us about a time you felt that roller coaster of emotions as a fan. Was it a nail-biting finish? A shocking upset? Maybe just a moment of pure football magic? We want to hear those stories, those moments that made the game more than just a game.
Yeah, because those shared experiences, that's what makes sports so powerful. It connects us, inspires us, reminds us of those incredible highs and lows that come with being a fan.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Brighton versus Chelsea, remember, this is just the beginning of the story. The match itself, with all its twists and turns, it's still waiting to be written.
And who knows, maybe we'll be back to break down a replay, analyze all the drama, celebrate those unforgettable FA Cup moments.
Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep sharing that passion for the beautiful game. And remember, folks, the best deep dives are the ones we take together.